Right, and everyone, welcome to the second part of Slime, our new David Walliams book. Let's have a quick recap before we get started. So we've been introduced to Ned and his sister. What's his sister called? Jemima. His sister's called Jemima. And Jemima loves to play tricks on Ned. Both of them live on an island, and where lots of people are quite nasty to them. The people who own the sweet shop are nasty to them. The people who own the school, the headmaster's really nasty to them. Ned got expelled from school. And then Jemima likes to play tricks on Ned, and she likes to collect weird things in jars. And some of the things that she collected were belly button fluff, gerbil wee, off custard, stinging nettle juice, wet bottom burps, spider sick, crushed caterpillars. And then he found lots of things under his bed. Do you remember that? And he found it, and then he thought, what is she going to do with all this weird stuff? So let's find out what she's going to do with all this weird stuff. The boy approached his mother and father's room and peeked through a gap in the door. Their bed was empty. It was the early hours of the morning, and the pair were already at work. No doubt Dad was heading out to sea, and Mum was setting up her market stall. A quick search by Ned of the back of their wardrobe revealed jars, jars, and more jars. Curiouser and curiouser, he muttered to himself. Then the boy rolled back into the hall, making his way toward his dreaded sister's bedroom. Trundle, trundle, trundle. Ned was sure somewhere in there would be the answer. He put his ear up against her door. Zzz, zzz. Jemima was fast asleep, snoring like a steam train. The sign on her bedroom door read, "Entry strictly forbidden. Any unauthorized persons who go beyond this point will get a boot up the bottom." Now was Ned's chance. The boy took a deep breath, then as quietly as he could, he opened the door. Click, and gently rolled himself inside. Trundle. The boy hadn't been allowed in his sister's bedroom for years. No wonder she kept everyone out. Her room was full to bursting with jars, jars, and more jars of gunk. There must have been thousands upon thousands of jars in there, all the way from the floor to the ceiling. No wonder Jemima had resorted to hiding jars all over the house. There was no more room in her room. It was a miracle she could even get in or out. As Ned watched his sister sleep, noting that she wore her steel-capped boots in bed, he scanned her bedroom for clues. There must be an answer somewhere to what she planned to do with all these jars of gunk. In a corner of the room were Jemima's school exercise books. Ned knew that his sister never did a scrap of work at school, so was surprised to see how well thumbed the books looked. Upon opening them, Ned discovered that they weren't full of schoolwork at all. Oh no, they were full of plans for the diabolical trick she was about to play on him. Chapter 5, The Bath of Doom. Ned widened at the horror, the unspeakable horror. The words and pictures in her book told the story in gruesome detail. So this was what his wicked sister was planning. There were lists, calendars, graphs, diagram, and even a flick book of how it would all play out. It was called Ned's Birthday Surprise. And it was the boy's birthday tomorrow. Once a year on his birthday, Ned had a bath. It's got a footnote. I know that doesn't sound like many baths in 1 year. I myself like to wash at least twice a year, unless I am already clean and there is no need. Sometimes I lick myself clean like a cat. In the family cottage, there was only enough hot water for one bathful a day. Of course, Jemima always bagsed every drop of hot water for herself. No wonder her parents reeked of fish. The only exception to this rule was on her little brother's birthday. On that special day, Jemima would be forced by her parents to relent and let little stinky Ned have his yearly soak. So the plan was that tomorrow, Jemima would fill the bath with all the gunk. Every last drop from every single jar would be emptied until the bath was full to the brim. Then she would squirt bubbles on top of the gunk so Ned wouldn't see the horror that was lurking underneath. There was even a cutaway diagram in her exercise book showing the hidden lair of gunk. So you can see the bubbles and then the water and then the gunk. Jemima knew her little brother would suspect nothing. This was his birthday treat after all. Ned would think it was a lovely bath full of warm water and lower himself into it. Then, ugh, he would scream as he was covered from head to toe in gunk. Ned dropped Jemima's book in shock. Thunk! The girl stirred. Ned held his breath. She turned over and went straight back to sleep. Zzz, zzz. Taking great care, the boy rolled himself back out of Jemima's bedroom. He had to reverse his wheelchair, as with the mountains of jars there wasn't room to turn around. Trundle, trundle, trundle. Then, disaster. Clunk, clink, clank. The footrest on his wheelchair just clipped one of the jars on the floor. There must have been 50 jars stacked on top of it. Ned reached out, but he was too late. The skyscraper of jars began toppling over. Tipple, topple, tupple. The jar at the top was heading straight for Jemima. As it fell through the air, it was as if time sped up and slowed down all at once. Snatch! Ned caught the jar just out of the air, just as it was millimeters from thunking his sister on the head. As much as he may have wanted to see his sister thunked on the head with a jar of Grumblenosh, whatever that was, sadly now it was not the time. It would spoil his surprise, because just at that moment, an idea came to him. Ding! An idea so simple, and it was brilliant. Simply brilliant, and brilliantly simple. Brimple. Ned would need to turn the tables on Jemima. The girl had a bath every single morning, apart from Ned's birthday. Keep up. So Ned would do to her exactly what his sister was going to do to him. She would suffer the bath of doom herself. Ned silently collected up all the jars from the gunk in the house and brought them to the bathroom. Once safely inside, Ned locked the door. Click. He didn't want Jemima bursting in on him before her bath of doom was ready. Ha ha ha, chuckled the boy to himself. Outside, it was still dark, but dawn was breaking and the birds were bursting into song. Tweet, 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 tweet. One by one, he opened the jars of gunk and poured them into the bath. Splish, splash, splosh. There was brown gunk, yellow gunk, thick gunk, black gunk, thin gunk, bubbly gunk, hot gunk, cold gunk, fizzy gunk, purple gunk, every kind of gunk you could imagine. Gallons and gallons of gunk. Eventually, the bath was full. After what seemed like hours of fetching, carrying, and unscrewing, the boy was exhausted. Catching his breath, Ned didn't notice what was happening right behind him. Girl, whatever was in the bath was coming to life. Chapter 6, Gunk Monster. As all the different types of gunk swirled together, waves formed in the bath. Swish. The waves swept up, up, swash, and they swept down, 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 swoosh. Ned turned around. It was a horrifying sight. He opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came out. The bath was now a raging storm of gunk. Swish, swash, swoosh. It splashed all over the bathroom, coating everything in gunk. Splish, splash, splosh. The sink, the toilet, even Ned were all gunked. Then, just as soon as the gunk had coated everything, it peeled itself off and whooshed back together. Whoomp! Then the gunk began to take shape. At first, it became a giant egg, like the kind of egg a dinosaur might have laid. The egg bounced up and down, boing, 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 before smashing itself against the bathroom wall. Crack! The outer layer cracked like a shell as the gunk inside oozed out. The oozing gunk then began to grow upwards and upwards, becoming a mountain. Whoosh! No, it was a volcano, an erupting volcano. It didn't shoot lava up into the sky, but rather gunk. Kaboom! Split! It splurted itself all over the bathroom ceiling before oozing back down to the floor and became an elephant. It hooted. Then it became a shark. Chomp! No, a bird. Flap, flap. This gunk monster was swimming and flying all at once. Swish, flap, swish, flap. The boy gazed open-mouthed in awe. This was the greatest show on earth, and it was all for him. Next, the gunk monster exploded into thousands of pieces as it became fireworks. Boom, boom, boom! Oh no, exclaimed the boy. What on earth have I done? Chapter 7. Blobby Blob. What the boy had done that day changed the course of history. In mixing together a thousand different jars of gunk, Ned had created a brand new matter. Slime. The world would never be the same again. This was big, bigger than biggest, huge among us. As Ned stayed deadly still, the slime began spinning round and round. It was a tornado of slime, a slimeado. No, thought Ned, I'm going to be slimed to death. He shut his eyes tight and cried, "Ah!" Then the most amazing thing happened. The whirling tube of slime spun up over his head and slapped against the ceiling. Squelch! Then it began oozing downwards towards the boy. As it did, it began to take shape. Not human shape exactly, more like a blob on top of a blob on top of a blob. It is easier if I show you. It looked like this. A blobby, blobulous blob was hanging down from the ceiling, and a huge, slimy, upside-down face was staring straight back at him. Good morning, it boomed. The boy's eyes darted around the room. There was no one else there. This thing was talking to him. I said, good morning, it repeated. For something made of slime, it had a surprisingly posh voice, as if it were royal, which seemed highly unlikely. Last time I checked, the royal family did not have a member who was made entirely of slime. Who are you? Stammered Ned. The boy was trembling with fear. I am anything you want me to be, replied the thing. With that, the blob of slime squelched upside down across the ceiling. Squelch, squelch, squelch. Next, it made its way down the wall, its slimy bottom acting like a suction pad against it. Squelch, squelch, squelch. Eventually, the thing was standing on the floor of the bathroom, peering down at Ned. Now, boy, tell me exactly what you wish me to be. Is this like Aladdin? Asked Ned excitedly. Is what like Aladdin? Is it like rubbing a lamp and a genie comes out and the genie giving you 3 wishes? The slime looked lost in thought for a moment before replying, No, there is no lamp. I am not a genie, and there aren't 3 wishes. Oh, replied Ned. There are infinite wishes. That's a lot, isn't it? It's infinite, so yes, I suppose it is. Unless it was infinite and 1, which would be silly. Cool, exclaimed Ned. So, boy, what do you wish me to be? I can be anything and everything. A hippopotamus, a swarm of bees, a giant pair of bloomers. As it spoke, it shape-shifted into each thing. Just think of something beginning with S. A sailing ship, a sphinx, a sausage as tall as a tree, a steamroller. The boy looked on in wonder as it changed with dizzying speed. A symphony? With that, there was the sound of a huge drum being struck. Boom! The slime shattered into what seemed like hundreds of tiny globules. They all flew past Ned, and he realized that they weren't just globules, they were music notes. As the sound of a symphony echoed around the bathroom, these musical notes danced through the air like butterflies. The boy watched in awe as they swooped and twirled in time to the music. Wow, he stammered. Just then, just as soon as the symphony had ended, the globules all merged together. This time, they didn't go back into being Slime's globulous self. Oh no, the globules merged back into the shape of a whale. The whale was so humongous it filled the entire bathroom. It floated in the air, swishing its tail. Swish, swoosh, swash. Am I back to normal? It asked. Something feels fishy. No, you're not back to normal, exclaimed Ned. Unless it's normal for you to be a big, ginormous whale. The whale of slime looked down and then fell through the air. Splat! It landed like a dropped jelly on the bathroom floor. Silence. Ned stared at it. Whatever this thing was, it looked to be no more. It was an X thing. Lying motionless next to the wheel of the boy's wheelchair, it was nothing more than a puddle of gloop. Slime! Called out Ned. He couldn't think what else to call it, and slime seemed appropriate. Are you all right? After a moment, the slime poured itself back together in the shape of a blob. That's better, it said. I felt all over the place. Thank goodness, exclaimed Ned. Is Slime my name then? It asked. I can't think of a better one. Roger? Archibald? Brenda? Offered Slime. I do feel like a Brenda. Mused the boy. I think you look more like a slime. Then slime it is, said Slime. He gave the boy a funny look, as much of a blob of slime can give anyone a funny look. So, did you create me? Well, hesitated Ned. I guess I did. Father! Exclaimed Slime. No, said Ned. Mother? No. What then? I guess we are, well. Ned didn't dare say it at first, but something in his heart told him he should. Friends. Friends, repeated Slime. Friends! Like that! I like that, yes, we are friends. The boy smiled and leaned over to hug his new friend, but all he got was a face full of slime. You didn't tell me your name, remarked Slime. Ned, replied Ned. I have a friend called Ned, exclaimed Slime. And Slime? Yes, Ned. I want you to help me play a trick. Goody, 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 snorted Slime, rubbing his slimy hands together in glee. On someone who has played 1,000,000 tricks on me. Just then, there was a pounding at the door. Boom, boom, boom. What on earth is going on in there? A voice demanded. It was, of course, Jemima. Come out right now, Ned, or I will boot this door down. Is that them, perchance? Inquired Slime. How did you guess? Replied the boy with a cheeky smile. Chapter 8. A particularly noisy poo. I said, what on earth are you doing in there? Came another shout from the other side of the bathroom door. Nothing, lied Ned. Nothing, bawled Jemima. I just heard a volcano, then a load of music, finally some kind of giant fish. Slime looked as if it were about to say something, maybe to correct the girl that technically a whale was not a fish, but in fact a mammal. Ned turned to his friend and put his fingers up to his lips in the internationally recognized signal for silence. Amazingly, for something made of slime, Slime understood. I was just doing a particularly noisy poo, spluttered Ned through the bathroom door. Noisy? She exclaimed. More like thunderous. Now open this door. Right now, and I will boot it down. Bish, bash, bosh. Right, we're going to have to leave it there for today. I hope you're enjoying that new book. So remember, we teachers are now back in school on Mondays and Thursdays. So if there's anything you need for home, if there's anything you think of that you usually do at school and you think, oh, I'd like to be able to do that at home, then let us know, because we can now go into school, we can get that ready for you, and then your parents and yourselves can collect that from school. Okay, so some people have already been requesting that, and you will be given, you can do that as well. Apart from a computer, can't do a computer to take home. Maybe Skadoosh should have a home for this time. Maybe someone could come and collect Skadoosh and write a diary about what Skadoosh gets up to. If you want to do that, let me know, and we'll say the first one to ask for Skadoosh can get Skadoosh and can look after him and write it. But they have to, if you're going to look after Skadoosh, I think you need to write a diary to say what he's been up to over the period while we've not been at school. Okay, guys, right, I will see you back here same time tomorrow. Hope you both all still well, and we'll see you back here same time tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Okay, guys, bye.